Hello everybody, and welcome to Whiz, your family-friendly podcast where we discuss D&D Onslaught, Dice Masters, HeroClix, and the other entertaining games made by WizKids. I'm WizDad, that one global power that keeps getting reprinted that you wish would just kind of go away and not come back. I will be your guide for navigating the competitive and casual scenes of the WizKids Triforce of gaming. It is Dice Masters Monday. Today we start a 4-part series where I'm going to go through each of the modern Dice Master sets and talk about what dice you want to pick up. This, I feel like, is going to be important for anyone wanting to get into the game. Sometimes you just got to know what dice are available in this case, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're starting with Secret Wars, but before that, you know what time it is. It's time for the WizKids Progress Report.
Kowalski, Progress Report.
Just a couple things to cover today in the WizKids Progress Report for Dice Masters. First off, congratulations to Empire, that is M-P-I-R-E, for winning the BWX Fest over the weekend. I talked about that last week. Big congrats to Empire. A reminder of supposed upcoming releases for Dice Masters. Once again, it's kind of in this weird limbo. Right now, House of X is still tentatively scheduled for November. We'll see how that goes. There's still a lot of hope and bated breath that something will be announced at Worlds, which is only a couple weeks away. If anybody from WizKids is listening to this, which would be awesome, once again, please just give us some inkling of, yeah, that's happening. No, it's December. Something would be great. Also a preview, like, hey, here's one dice that was made. Anything that would help push the community, have more things to talk about in the future would be great. Speaking of the future, though, we do have the 2023 Dice Masters Charity Draft at Worlds Championship. I've mentioned this before. It's something that we're trying to pull together as basically a fun draft to have at Worlds, at WizKids Worlds in Memphis. It's still tentatively planned for Saturday afternoon after kind of the singles event for Onslaught and HeroClix has ended or cut has been announced. That's when we're planning on having it. Plan is we're planning on having it in the cafeteria section of the Grassland Convention Center, so we're not impeding on any of the WizKid stuff. Usually those tables are all open. If that doesn't work, we're going to have it back at the hotel. No big deal. But basically, we're planning for not really any sort of entry cost. What we do ask, though, is if you're going to play, you need to make a charity donation to, I think we chose the Mid-South Food Bank, which is a Memphis-run food bank that pays and helps feed the homeless and the hungry in Memphis and the surrounding Mid-South area. So the plan, once again, is if you're interested in playing, we're doing a draft. So basically, you'll get some packs of Secret Wars, and you'll be able to play. But we do ask that you donate and show us that you've donated, right? Like, we're not accepting. We really don't want to take any money and have us do it. We would prefer that you show us, but we're still kind of working out the kinks of that. But it's going to be a charity event. It's fun. We really wanted just Dice Masters to be there at WizKids Worlds just to show that there's support for the game, and that's kind of what we're going with, right? So write that on your schedule. If you're already going to WizKids Worlds to play HeroClix, to play an Onslaught, and you're like, you know what, I've always wanted to play Dice Masters. Well, we're doing a draft. We'll try to have extra sidekick dice. So if you don't bring anything for Dice Masters, you can still play. We'll still try to have things there that'll allow you to play. Pretty simple. That's pretty much all I got for the progress report. Let's go ahead and start breaking down some of the essential dice in Secret Wars. Hey, you know what? Leading into the Dice Master charity event at World Championship, like, that could be fun. But no, we'll talk about some of the different dice that you want to pick up if you're getting into Dice Masters, specifically from Secret Wars, and then we'll work our way back.
Get your gear, little man. We're going fishing. And I mean now.
So to go through the different cards and dice in Modern, I'm going to be utilizing the DM North essentials list. Basically, my plan is to go through each die, talk about it a little bit briefly why you want to pick it up, and then if there's any that I see that are missing, which once again, I'm pretty limited on Dice Master knowledge, but I'm learning as I go, I'll talk about it. But the DM North essential list is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Robust. It is complete. I like the way that it has listed. So we'll go through each one. Once again, you don't. It's an essential list, so you don't have to own everything. I know a lot of players err on the different side of, okay, if I want to, let's see how to explain this. For me, for example, I'm someone who likes to I like to own all of the essentials of a set. So that way, if I build a team in the future, I don't have to go back and say, oh, I'm missing this particular die or this card or something. Bummer, I have to go hunt it down. Instead, I like to just own it from the get-go. I like to have just the essentials. I'm not a collector where I want to have everything. But at the same time, when a set comes out, I don't know what I want to play. My play tendencies change pretty frequently. And so I may not just say, oh, I know specific ones I want to get. I kind of want to be in the middle. I don't want to be a collector that has everything. I don't want to be that specific person that only has X-Men dice. I want to be in the middle where I get kind of the big ones you want from a set. And you that way when you build a team later, I might decide, hey, I want to go more Fantastic Four. Cool, well, I've already got enough dice from the set to cover that. Maybe I need one or two to fill it out, but I've got most of it. So that's kind of where this essentials list falls in. DM North does a very good job of this list because I feel like it's fairly comprehensive. Almost everything is covered. And some things in here you might say, well, that doesn't seem that great. And you know what? That's perfectly fine if you feel that way. So to kick things off is Agent Bran Hell Rangers. She is a 3-cost fist. Her ability is she's an uncommon. While Agent Bran is active, your characters gain fast. The fast keyword, I believe that's what it's called. What that does effectively is that means characters that have fast allow you to attack. Let me just read it from the Dice Masters, right? Characters with fast deal combat damage before other characters, all at the same time, instead of at the regular time for combat damage. So essentially, when you do push your characters forward and say, I am going to attack with these, and they block with their characters, effectively characters with fast attack first, and so they deal the damage first. So if they knock out that character, effectively that would knock them out before they deal the damage back to you. I believe that is how that works. If that's not how it works, feel free to correct me. But effectively, Agent Brain does that for all your active characters. Very, very nice. The added benefit is I do love low cost, 0 field cost dice. I feel like a lot of different teams should have one, as long as it makes sense, right? Don't force it on your team. But Agent Brand is 2 of her character sides are 0 cost, so she has a 0 cost 2/1, 0 cost 2/2, and then a 1 cost 3/2. I just like 0 costs at times because there's times where it's like, hey, I'm probably gonna be fielding this character a majority of the time because it's a 0 cost. So Agent Brain kind of falls in there, and giving fast is very nice as well. Up next, and this is in alphabetical order, once again I'm following the DM North Essentials list. Up next is Apocalypse, Wicked Supremacist. Apocalypse has Overcrush, while he's a 6 cost lightning. While Apocalypse is active, when you field a character die, deal 2 damage to a target character die. So not exactly like Thor, which we'll get to. Apocalypse is a super rare. He does have a global pay 1 lightning energy once per turn, KO one of your character die, and the next die you purchase this turn costs 2 less to a minimum of 1, which I believe that is just the Dark Phoenix one. Basically, it's a global to allow you to pay for your be able to purchase characters faster. It's a kind of a global you want to have. A lot of people typically have the Dark Phoenix or Wolverine, another one we'll get to. global on there because it just allows you to purchase more expensive pieces faster. He's a 6 cost, so he is probably just one you put on your sideline. Not sideline, you play him, but he's one that you put on your team purely for the global. You probably do not play him, like play him. That would be probably a tough ask to actually play him at 6. But hey, you never know. That Overcrush is pretty good. Once again, Overcrush. When attacking, if this character KOs all of its blockers, it deals any remaining damage to your opponent. And so he deals a lot of damage. He does have a 1 field cost for 3/5. He has a 2 field cost for 5/6. And then he has a 2 field cost for 6/7. So if you do purchase him and get him out there, he could be pretty spicy if allowed. And yes, I did double check. It is the Dark Phoenix global. So that means that global continues a little longer with Apocalypse. Up next is Beast Genius Intellect. 3 cost Fist. He's an uncommon. When Beast is active, when you field a Fist character die, choose one. Deal 2 damage to a target character die, or target character die gets +2 attack. These active field abilities, when you field them and something happens to deal damage to a target character die, can be very important. There's a few teams out there that are built around that, built around having not direct damage where your character is attacking and they block, but more kind of indirect damage of, oh, I fielded, I can now take out your 2 health Agent Brand. I can take that out without having to attack, and then now Beast can push forward to just attack your life points directly. So that kind of concept isn't foreign. There's a lot of pieces to do it. I mean, Apocalypse we just talked about did something like that. So Beast is good in that wheelhouse. He does have a 0 cost side, and then he has a 0 fielded cost side, I should say, and then 2 1 cost. So pretty standard. Good to have around. Up next, we've got 2 of the Black Panthers. We got Black Panther Resisting Doom, which is the super rare. We've talked about this one before. That's the alternate win condition when Black Panther is active. If you attack with 6 or more different Fantastic Four characters, you win the game. You probably don't field this character until you actually have the win condition available. Though he does do a lot of damage on his own. He's only a 4 cost, and if you hit that his 2 side, his top character side, I should say, he is an 8/8. So he's a bit of a beef boy if you let him be. But you're mostly playing him for that win condition. We also got the rare Black Panther Toppling Doomstat. 6 cost mask. He has the Energize. Your Fantastic Four character dice get +2 attack this turn. To remind people about Energize, whenever you roll this die on one of its double energy faces, you must use its Energize effect. This isn't optional. During the roll and reroll step, only check at the end of the step. The character with the Energize does not need to be active for the ability to trigger. So his Energize, once again, is your Fantastic Four character dice get +2 attack this turn. While Black Panther is active, when your opponent fields a character die, you may reroll one of their other character dice. So that's kind of neat too. But he is a 6 cost, so that is a little pricey. I don't know how much I would play him, but giving your Fantastic Four character dies a +2 if you don't happen to roll him to play him. So if you roll his double energy side, that's a pretty fun Energize. I have not played with a lot of Energize yet, so that one seems pretty good, especially with some of the characters we're going to be talking about here in just a minute. Now we get our first epic basic action. So epic basic actions are a little bit different. As opposed to basic actions, there's 2 conditions you have to meet in order to play an epic basic action. That is, 1, you can only use or purchase 1 epic basic action per turn, and 2, you must have an active character with a purchase cost of 4 or greater. This is in place because epic basic actions are pretty powerful. The first one we have up is the Casket of Ancient Winters. Your opponent KOs 3 of their character dice, moves 3 dice from their reserve pool to their bag, and then moves 3 dice from their prep area to their used pile. So that's pretty devastating for a team that's really set up, has character dice out, has some in the reserve pool, or has some in prep ready for their next turn. This can really, really change things up. It's 5 costs, so it's pretty pricey. The downside is I haven't seen a lot of epic basic actions used. From what I found is from some of the few games I've played, it's hard to get it to work out, and usually it's not really, most of them aren't a win condition. So I'd be eager to see if you're Dice Masters player out there, hey, listen, write him on the YouTube comments, send me a message, tell me about a time that you've been playing epic basic actions and it's been good. I think there's a couple more on here that we'll talk about, because it's one that looks great on paper. It's just how functional is it? How likely is it to actually be used? Up next is Colossus. Once again, going in alphabetical order if you can't tell. Colossus fighting Limbo. That's the rare. 5 cost fist. He has Team Watch, which has put a +1 attack, +1 defense token on one of your X-Men characters. So Team Watch, for those that don't remember Team Watch, when a character with Team Watch is active and you field another character dies with the same affiliation, use their Team Watch ability. So Colossus has to be active. When you do, and you play another X-Men, they get a +1 attack and +1 defense token on their character. He also has Iron Will, which is another keyword. This one is a little bit lengthy of an explanation, but this character cannot be KO'd unless it was previously damaged this turn, or if it is simultaneously damaged by 2 different sources. If this character was previously damaged this turn, and A, it is damaged a second time, and the total damage it receives this turn equals or exceeds its defense, or B, a game effect later in the same turn reduces this, blah, 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 blah. Basically, what it means is that you can't just instantly one-hit knock them out. You gotta double tap them. And that could be from a combination of blockers, it could be from some abilities that you might use, but you can't just like one shot. If you ever play like Pokemon, think of it like using a focus sash or having that one ability that makes it where he hung on. You just can't one-shot him, essentially. But once again, he's a 5 cost fist. He does have a one field cost for 2 of his sides and a 2. He does a decent amount of damage. He's great if you're playing an X-Men team that you can put him out there. He's kind of hard to kill, kind of hard to take out. And then you have other X-Men you could start throwing out there quickly to get his Team Watch to fire off and really start revving up the damage your X-Men are capable of doing. Up next is our next epic basic action. That's a Cosmic Cube. This one's a little nutty. It's a 6 cost. Switch life totals with your opponent. This one, I looked at this one. It's a common. I looked at this one and really sat there and thought about it. And it's one where it's on the essentials list. I don't know if you're ever really playing it. It feels like a get out of jail free kind of card where it's like, okay, they are very aggressive. Maybe they're playing Master Mode, but usually there's not a lot of times where they get you to just like 1 or 2 life left. Usually it's they get you to 10, and then the next turn you're just going to get demolished. There's very little in between, I feel like. It could be absolutely life-saving, but once again, it's a 6 cost, and you gotta hit it. So there might be, if it's a 6 cost, it's really just I don't have my win condition. I'm not close to it. I gotta do something to slow this down. And so I could see that being a thing where it's my get out of jail free card, essentially. But outside of that, it is something to note, and I say this with HeroClix all the time. A figure right now in HeroClix may not be meta relevant, but you gotta note it. You've got to keep it in mind because down the line, it might get better. And it does something unique. This is something unique. If there's something where you could like damage yourself more, like, oh, I sacrificed my own life for this, and then you could play this and swap it. Okay, maybe. But once again, epic basic actions. Yeah. We'll see how good those are. Up next is Dazzler. Allison Blair. 2-cost lightning. She's a rare. When you have an active character die with a cost 4 or greater, Dazzler is free to field. When fielded, deal 2 damage to a target non-lightning bolt character die. And then her character side, she's got a 0/1/2 field cost. She's okay damage. The fact that you could get her out there for free if you have a cost 4 or greater is pretty good. She's got X-Men, so she could work well with Colossus, because he was a 5 cost. So if you field Colossus and then throw her out there, she'll be able to be fielded for free, and then you could play, and she'll get a +1 attack and defense. So, hitting for 3 or 4 attack isn't too bad. And she would also deal 2 damage to a non-lightning character die. That's pretty good as well. So definitely keep an eye out for Dazzler. Up next is Distraction Basic Action. This one, now we're getting to a basic action that is very much plausible. This one, target opponent chooses 2 of their character die. They cannot block this turn. Cool. This basic action has a global, which right now I feel like most actions, basic actions, the only ones that are being played are ones with globals. Which I hope that changes. There's some of these that are, I feel like, better. Global, pay 1 mask, remove target attacking character die from combat. So this is one you would play on when priorities pass to you. When they're attacking with something, you wouldn't pay a mask to kind of, okay, I'm going to remove this one from attacking. It's a defensive basic action. It's useful in some instances. I think I played it on the Nationals team. I can't remember, but if I did, I didn't use it. But it's definitely one you want to pick up. It's one that could fit on a lot of teams to help kind of lessen certain blows that teams are planning. Up next is Falcon. Take Flight, a common 3-cost fist. He's got Team Watch. We already went over it. Team Watch, prep a sidekick from your used pile. And he's Avengers, if you couldn't guess with Falcon. He does have a global. Pay a fist once during your turn. Each player must field a sidekick from their used pile, if able. I don't know about that global. I mean, it's from your used pile, so each player must field a sidekick, so that might be useful if you're wanting to use other globals to take out sidekicks and whatnot. So that's like a pseudo global. It's something to keep in mind with Avengers. I don't know how good Avengers is currently, because we only have, like, X-Men I think is the predominant one right now. I haven't looked into the Avengers team for Dice Masters yet, but that's something to note. Now, it wouldn't be Secret Wars if there wasn't a God Emperor Doom. This one is Robern Alal, which is a 6 shield cost, rare. While God Emperor Doom is active, at the start of the attack step, target character's die's attack becomes 0 until the end of a turn. So that's neat. That'll help you if you've got something you could KO, but you really don't want your dice to be KO'd, which I feel like a lot of times you do nowadays want your character to be KO'd, but that's neither here nor there. When you're attacking, I should say. In this case, for God Emperor Doom, that could be very, very useful. 6 cost, though. He has a 1 field cost and 2 field cost for his top 2. Pretty good damage, good defense for sure. A 5, 6, 7 going up his character sides, but pretty decent all around. Maybe not anything really to write home about. I'd really have to look at that more, but he is something to note. We got another basic action, Instant War, 3 cost. Each player draws 3 dice and fields all sidekicks drawn this way. Each player places the remaining dice in their bag or used pile. So that could be useful for kind of getting some dice out, getting some sidekicks out, freeing your bag a little bit. I know they'll go back into your bag, but there's a chance, well, no, it wouldn't go back into your bag. Your character dice would go back into your bag. So this is useful for getting some of the sidekicks out. If you know you're sitting there with, your bag is down to 2 characters you need, and you've got 4 sidekick dice in there, you might want to play this, if you roll it, obviously, to be able to say, okay, I'll draw out all the sidekicks. I got 3 dice. I'll field, maybe I field 2 of them. So that increases my percentage chance of getting the character die I need next turn. That could be useful. Very, very useful. All right, so these next two is ones you could build around. At least this one is. We start with Invisible Woman, also Dr. Richards, the common. She's a fantastic common. She's a mask 2 cost. Invisible Woman gets +1 attack for each of your other active Fantastic Four character dice. And then Global, pay a mask, target character die must block this turn. Global's fine. She is a 0 cost to field. I love it. I'll say it again, I love 0 cost to field, because you roll it, you're like, yes, thank you, I at least have 1 character. She ramps up a different kind of ramp. She ramps up pretty quickly when it comes to damage. She's kind of like when I played my Fantastic Four alternate win condition. She was kind of my alternate win condition for my alternate win condition. Because I could field her, Molecule Man, Thing, Mr. Fantastic, field those other characters, and now suddenly she's dealing 5 damage, potentially 6 damage, because she just keeps getting 1 attack for each of your other active Fantastic Four, and that includes other Invisible Women. And she's a 2 cost, so she's likely one of the first die you're buying, outside of maybe like a Corvus or something. So very, very useful. I like her a lot. She's one of my favorite die right in Secret Wars, just because she does a lot for just a common 2 cost mask. So absolutely pick her up. Her super rare version isn't bad either. It does go up to, this is Invisible Woman Interdimensional Adventurer. This does take her up to a 6 cost mask. That's a downer. But being a super rare, when fielded, re-roll 2 target character dice, and all of your character dice get 3 attack until the end of your turn. So she does similar things with the bonuses to attack, but instead of just on herself, it's to all of your character dice. Now the problem is that there's not a lot of low cost, like she is the low cost Fantastic Four you want to play, like the other version of her, the common. So taking her up to a 6 cost comes at a cost. What do you know? So you could build around it. Being able to re-roll 2 of your opponent's character die could be very, very useful. And then giving all of your characters +3 attack could just be game ending. That could be your win condition, knowing that you can get rid of potentially 2 of their character dice that would block, and now you have 4 people, 4 characters. It is not limited to Fantastic Four. It says all of your character dice. So you could now have everyone hitting for 5 and have 4 people out there, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. There's not much you could do. You win. So definitely keep this Invisible Woman in mind. I do prefer the common, but this one is really good too. We still got quite a bit to go to. We might bust this out into a part 1 of Secret Wars. I did not know I was going to go this deep into this, but hey, let's talk next about the basic action Invulnerability. 2 cost until the end of your turn. When one of your attacking character dice is KO'd, return it to the field zone. So that's kind of neat. Basically, you can attack. If it's KO'd, hey, it's back. It's back for your next turn. That's great. It does have a global. Once again, basic actions with global are preferred, because I feel like a lot of the time, unless your team is specifically built around using that basic action, you're using basic actions for emergencies or for certain matchups. So when you don't hit those matchups, hey, it's nice to have the global. So global, pay 1 lightning or bolt. I say lightning. Excuse me. I know it's a bolt sometimes. Play 1 lightning. Target character die gets +1 attack. Hey, there was a game at Nats that I wish I had 1 more attack, because that would have, I think that would have sealed it for me. But I did not have it, so this would have been nice. Definitely keep it on your radar. Up next is Jane Foster League of Realms, a super rare. 5 cost shield. While Jane Foster is active, reduce damage from opposing characters' abilities by 2. That's good. When Jane Foster is KO'd, you may move a fist with a purchase cost of 5 or more from your used pile to your prep area. Okay. She does have a global pay 1 energy. Spin target character die that was fielded this turn up 1 level. So that is a very, very nice global. There are certain characters that you wish were just a little bit beefier. I know there's a thing out there I wish was, if you don't hit that top, Drax, there's certain ones that you wish you could get up 1 more level because they have more defense or they could just hit harder. Jane Foster on your field, or not in your field, as her global, she could do that for you. Especially if you're going against teams that are, I think it's like Black Widow, I'm still remembering things, that can actually spin it down 1. Spin your die down a level. Jane Foster is a good counter for that, for getting them up a level, essentially, right? And she's not bad on her own. She's got a 1, 2, 3 field cost for her 3 faces. 4 attack, 5 attack, 6 attack, 5 defense, 6 defense, 8 defense. Like, that's beefy. Now, she has a 5 cost, so that makes sense. But she does a lot as a super rare. So she's probably one you want to pick up, especially if you want to build around her or utilize her global. Hey, but guess what? Her other version, the rare Jane Foster Mystical Teleportation, which is a 6 cost shield, also has the same global. Pay 1 energy, spin target character die that was fielded this turn up a level. When fielded, this is her ability before that. When fielded, swap any number of character dice in your field zone with character dice from your used pile or prep area on the same level. That one would require a little bit of luck and some really good setup to pull off. But if you pulled it off, man, that would be significant. Being able to just field those characters on the same level, like that would be pretty good. But that's one I don't know if you'd really count on. It's nice to have in your back pocket. Now we're on to Jimmy Woo, Department 0. 4 cost lightning. He's a rare. When Jimmy Woo is active, Jimmy Woo is active, when you use an action die, gain 2 life and deal 2 damage to target character die. Okay, now we're talking. That would make you want to use, actions a little bit more. Building around Jimmy Woo, that could be interesting. His first 2 character levels are 0 field costs, which are nice. Those are always nice to have. But yeah, that's a unique ability to something to keep in your mind. Anything that helps you gain life could be something to look into. The other Jimmy Woo, though, the uncommon Jimmy Woo Skilled Interrogator, is a 3 cost lightning. While Jimmy Woo is active, when you use an action die, spin target opposing character die 1 level, or spin target level 1 character die to an energy face. So that, I think, is arguably better than his other one. Being able to take your opponent's character die that was on level 1 and being able to take it to an energy is pretty good. Now, it is required that you use an action die. Once again, a lot of people don't use action dies outside of globals, so you would have to invest in one that's low cost and that you want to continue to play. Up next, speaking of base of action, let's talk about Locked in Combat. 3 costs. Target a character die from each player's field zone and set them aside until the end of turn. Then return them to play at their previous level. When they return to the field zone, deal each 2 damage. So, this could be useful for if they've got a big, meaty person in the middle, so like a Thing, for example. I think this would work with the Thing. The Thing makes it where you have to target him with everything. So if you play this, you could target him with this and then set him aside at the end, like set them aside, and then that he comes back and takes 2 damage. So I think if you set him aside, you'd be able to attack the rest of the field. I'd have to look into that, but that is interesting to be able to kind of isolate one of their character dies to kind of just take 2 damage but be outside of the field zone. I guess if they're outside the field zone, they wouldn't be considered fielded. So, and then we'll talk about a couple more, and then we'll kind of wrap this up, and we will do a 2-parter. I overestimated or underestimated how long it was going to take me to talk about this set, and I don't really want this to go a whole hour. So we got Madeline Pryor, Baroness of Limbo, a 3-cost mask. When Madeline Pryor is active, your sidekick dice get +1 attack. Woohoo! They get to do something. She has a global, pay 1 mask and 1 life. Uh-oh, we were talking about paying life. Once per turn, field a sidekick from your use pile. Okay. Her level 1 and 2 is 0 field cost. Once again, I love it, but they don't really do much damage. They're just 1 damage, or 1 attack, I should say. But that is something to note of that global, especially when it comes to the Cosmic Cube, right? If you utilize that a lot and plan it correctly, you can maybe use her to pay some life, field some sidekicks, do some damage, or at least get yourself set up, swap your life, and then attack. That'd be pretty neat. And then to wrap it all up, let's talk about Magic. Not Magic the Gathering, but Magic Darkchild, the uncommon. The 4-cost mask. When fielded, deal 2 damage to all opposing character dice. That is solid. That is real solid. Especially when she has level 1 and level 2 as 0 field cost. That actually is really good. Global, pay 1 lightning and 1 life. There we go, more life. Once per turn, field a sidekick from your use pile. So I'm interested in how many teams have been built around Cosmic Cube. She would satisfy your requirements for epic basic actions, where you have to field a purchase cost of 4. So she would fulfill that, and she has level 1 and 2 0 cost to field. Like, she's a 4 cost to buy, 0 for 1 and 2 to field. So hey, I don't hate that. She does decent damage. So Magic the Uncommon is one you probably want to pick up. But hey, what do you know? Magic Inferno, the rare, isn't that bad either. Her global is the same. 3-cost mask. When Magic is active, when you use an action die, place a +1 attack and +1 defense token on her card. Once again, 0 cost to field unless she's level 3, and doing 2 to 3 damage, respectively. Pretty darn good, especially when you're able to use an action die to... So, action die also meaning potentially Cosmic Cube. Hey, there might be something there with that. I haven't built it, but hey, unless I'm thinking of my rules wrong, which I could very well be, there might be something there with that. And so I think, you know what, we'll end it on Mr. Sinister before we get to a teaser for Molecule Man. Mr. Sinister Battle World is an uncommon, 4-cost lightning. When Mr. Sinister is KO'd, you may KO an opposing character die of cost 4 or less. They've also got Mr. Sinister has a global pay lightning/masks. That's interesting. Each character chooses one of their character dice to take 3 damage. That's big. Just the, hey, you gotta take 3 damage. That's significant. Very, very significant. So yeah, that was just half of the essentials of Secret Wars. I was thinking this is going to be a 4-parter. Clearly this is going to be more. Because, man, goodness, we've got another at least 20 dice to go through for Secret Wars. Once again, I'm using the DM North Essentials. So if you want to kind of a sneak peek and want to dive into that yourself, you can. But we'll start out next week talking about... We hit 3 Fantastic Four characters in a row, which I know intimately well. And, yeah, once again, this list is all about what dice and cards you want to pick up, especially if you're wanting to get into the game. It is difficult. I will say this, kind of like an extra hint, when it comes to picking up and getting Dice Masters, either you can buy, like I've mentioned on previous episodes, either buy sealed product from WizKids or some of the online retailers. There's not a ton of online retailers that sell it, but you can find it out there. Or you can buy singles. You can either look at eBay, you can get on the Discord and see who has it, who wants to trade or sell. Facebook is also a decent place to find some. It is not the easiest game to just find singles of. Luckily, there's a big community that is good about getting things out there. If what you need is a common, uncommon, maybe even a rare, I know a lot of people have extras that they're more than willing to sell or give away. It's really the super rares that are kind of hard to find, and some of the rares. because some of these you want multiple dice for. And I didn't even go through how many dice you want for each. That's really team dependent. For some of the ones that have globals and you're only using for globals like Apocalypse, you probably don't need more than 1, maybe 2. But some of these other ones that you want more of, well, yeah, you probably want, like Invisible Woman, you probably want 4 of that common Invisible Woman, to be honest, because you might buy 3 in the game just to keep fielding her. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode of Dice Master Monday, this episode of Whiz. Thank you guys for listening. We'll cover the second half of Secret Wars in the next episode, and then the plan is to cover the other 3 sets leading up to, well, I mean, I'll get done hopefully well in advance of November, where quote-unquote House of X will come out, but I won't be done by the time Worlds will be done. So hopefully at Worlds we'll know, is House of X happening? What's happening with that? And I'm also going to explore trying to get some guests on the show to talk Dice Masters. Someone who's probably more knowledgeable than me would be great to kind of bounce back some of this. But thank you guys all for listening to this episode of Whiz, and I will see you guys on Onslaught Wednesday. Have a great day.